interim government in Bangladesh, led by its Chief Adviser Muhammad Yunus, has completed 100 days in office. Yes, his unelected government is over 100 days old now. And what chaos it has presided over. Hello and welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Unman Bhattacharya. Let's connect the dots of 100 days of anarchy in Bangladesh. After hounding out Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina from their country and destroying the statue of Bangladesh's founding father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, protesters are now gunning for Bangladesh's President Mohammad Shahabuddin. They are storming the presidential palace and clashing with the police and the army. What do these protesters want? They want his resignation because they see him as a sympathizer of Sheikh Hasina. That's because he said that he's yet to see any documentary evidence or resignation letter that would confirm that Sheikh Hasina actually did resign. That's similar to the point that Hasina's son, Sajib Wazid, made in early August, that his mother had not resigned as Prime Minister before she was forced to flee. Such statements serve to question the legitimacy of the unelected interim government in Bangladesh. Here are more scenes from Dhaka. Rioters running amok, setting fire to Jatiya Party's central office, clashing with its party members. Sheer arson, vandalism, and hooliganism. But wait, this isn't about politics alone. See the plight of the average Bangladeshi. These are scenes from Mirpur. Angry Bangladeshi workers setting fire to police and army vehicles. Their garment factory was suddenly shut down, leaving them with no work and no pay. Dozens of factories are closing down in Bangladesh, one of the world's largest garment producers. And such protests are becoming widespread. But the story does not end here. Bangladesh continues to dominate headlines around the world for persecution of religious minorities. These protesters in Dhaka want that persecution to stop. But there is not much hope for minorities, including the Hindu community in Bangladesh. Their homes, businesses, and religious places were attacked after Sheikh Hasina was forced to flee. Hindus make up about 8% of Bangladesh's 170 million population. That's far less compared to their share of population in erstwhile East Pakistan in 1951, when they made up 22% of the population. Incidents of persecution or targeting of minorities have been common in Bangladesh, but the situation has gotten worse, particularly since the exit of Sheikh Hasina in August. Since then, more than 2,000 attacks have been reported on Hindus in Bangladesh. In October this year, during the Durga Puja festival celebrated by Hindus, at least 35 untoward incidents were reported in Bangladesh. The violence has drawn international attention. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed concern over attacks on minorities. The issue reached the United Nations too. A complaint has been filed against Muhammad Yunus and 61 others at the International Criminal Court in Netherlands against what it calls brutal genocide and crimes against humanity that religious minorities and others have been subjected to in Bangladesh. But Muhammad Yunus wants the world to think that all this is baseless propaganda. He claimed this in an interview. Most complaints of violence against minorities were baseless propaganda originating from the Indian side for whatever reason it may be. So he is conveniently attributing the violence to political motives. But it is no secret that oppression of religious minorities has been a constant feature in Bangladesh's history. both when it was still East Pakistan and since independence. During the Bangladesh Liberation War, Pakistani military killed, tortured and drove thousands of Bengali Hindus from their homes in Bangladesh. At least 2 to 3 million people were killed in systematic targeting of Hindus. The Hindu community faced atrocities like targeted executions, rape, and other human rights abuses. Minorities in Bangladesh were targeted after the demolition of the then disputed structure in Ayodhya in 1992. The following decades too saw many religious attacks on minorities, particularly Hindus. In 2021, Amnesty International said, such repeated attacks against individuals, communal violence and destruction of the homes and places of worship of minorities in Bangladesh over the years show that the state has failed in its duty to protect minorities. And there are signs intolerance towards minorities could only grow in Bangladesh, because even as religious minorities face atrocities there, Bangladesh's Attorney General is calling for erasing secularism from the country's constitution. Remember, the 15th Amendment to Bangladesh Constitution was passed in 2011 by the then Awami League government of Sheikh Hasina. It restored secularism, which had been incorporated in the original 1972 Constitution as one of the 4 fundamental principles of the state. This was done to stop discrimination against or persecution of persons practicing a particular religion. Earlier, secularism was removed from the constitution after the 1975 military coup by General Ziaur Rahman in the days after the assassination of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. This raises the question, does the unelected regime want to regress Bangladesh into the times of blatant religious intolerance towards minorities with unofficial sanction of the state? Having said that, many are asking, what is the Muhammad Yunus-led interim government busy doing these days? Critics say it is filling the government with cronies and sympathizers and extending the influence of Pakistan-backed radical Islamist organization Jamaat-e-Islami in Bangladesh. They say, in the name of carrying out reforms, it is trying to buy time for an indefinite period before holding elections so that it can continue to enjoy the privileges of power for as long as possible. But under Trump 2.0, the interim government in Bangladesh may soon get a reality check. See this post by Donald Trump days before Election Day in the United States. He is condemning the barbaric violence against Hindus, Christians, and other minorities in Bangladesh, which he says is in a total state of chaos. And guess how Bangladesh reacted to this? By cracking down on Trump supporters after his victory. Yunus had the blessings of the outgoing Joe Biden administration in the United States. But the political landscape in the US has changed now. Trump has picked the first Hindu congresswoman in the United States, Tulsi Gabbard, for the post of Director of National Intelligence. And Tulsi never minces her words on atrocities against Hindus and other minorities in Pakistan and Bangladesh. Lisa Curtis, who served as Trump's South Asia point person in his first term, feels Sheikh Hasina did a good job in controlling extremism in Bangladesh. She suggests that the incoming administration work with India, which is more directly impacted by what happens in Bangladesh because of its geographical proximity. The question is, will Bangladesh go further down the path of anarchy after these 100 days in power of an unelected government there? Or will it revive democracy and preserve secularism? The next few months could be decisive for Bangladesh.
I'm going to let you in on what happened, where we made some mistakes, and why we're taking this big turn.
You saw Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau admitting to making some mistakes on social media. What was the mistake he was talking about?
Immigration. Let's talk about it. So we're doing something major. We're reducing the numbers of immigrants that will come to Canada.
Canada has drastically cut down the number of tourist visas it is issuing to Indians. The success rate of visas has dropped from around 80% to 20% or even lower. So what is Canada's plan? Canada's new immigration plan aims to reduce the number of permanent residents admitted to the country, targeting 395,000 in 2025, which is nearly a 20% drop from the 485,000 expected this year. This plan also affects temporary immigrants, including international students and foreign workers, with numbers decreasing to 446,000 annually by 2025 and 2026, and just 17,400 new non-permanent residents by 2027. The Canadian government has ended its fast-track study visa program known as the Student Direct Stream. This program allowed students from countries like India, the Philippines and China to get their study permits quickly. India is the largest source country of foreign students, with an estimated 427,000 Indian students studying in Canada. This accounts for more than 40% of the international students in Canada, and this means that Canada generates billions of dollars from Indian students. The processing time for students applying for the SDS scheme was significantly shorter, and its approval rates were higher. But everything is going to change now after Canada ended the scheme. Justin Trudeau criticized colleges and universities for using international student programs to boost revenues, and also scammers for taking advantage of vulnerable immigrants with false promises of citizenship. Canada has made another significant change to its visa policies. The automatic 10-year multiple entry tourist visa is no longer available. This means frequent travelers will need to reapply for a tourist visa every time they want to visit Canada. Experts think this change will make it harder for people to get approved for a visa. This is especially true for Indian students and professionals who are already facing challenges. Previously, the 10-year visa was a backup option for those who could not get a student visa or other long-term permits. Now they will have to reapply every time, making the process more complicated and uncertain. The Trudeau government's drastic changes in Canada's immigration policy comes at a time when ties between India and Canada are at its lowest. Remember these visuals? Extremists attacked Hindu Sabha temple in Canada's Brampton. The attack happened even though the Canadian authorities had been requested to provide strong security to the premises. This shows how these extremists enjoy the support of the Trudeau government in Canada. Remember, the relationship between India and Canada took a sharp downturn in September last year when Trudeau alleged that Indian agents might have been involved in the killing of terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. New Delhi rejected the claim outright. Former Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper said that Canada should stop harboring extremists and jihadists. So not just India, even top politicians within Canada are accusing Trudeau of harboring extremists. So why has Trudeau not acted against extremism in Canada? The answer may lie in political pressure. Trudeau's Liberal government is trailing in polls ahead of the 2025 election. His Liberal Party is running the government in alliance with the New Democratic Party, or NDP, led by Jagmeet Singh, an extremist sympathizer. So Trudeau simply cannot afford to upset the NDP. Besides this, Trudeau has been facing mounting public pressure over immigration.
You are not Canadian, we are Canadian. This is our country, you are invaders. Go back. You go back.
Anti-immigrant rhetoric and attacks have also been on the rise. And there is also the deepening housing crisis in Canada. Canada's housing market is among the most unaffordable in the world. Many link this with the immigration rates in the country. Canada's new immigration plan shows that Justin Trudeau is responding to mounting public criticism against him and is also acting under electoral compulsions. Only time will tell his political fate and that of his new immigration plan. Justin Bieber's life is a fairy tale come true. From teenage heartthrob to global sensation. This year, he had a big reason to celebrate: the birth of his baby son, Jack. But despite the happiness, rumors are spreading that things are not going well in his personal life. So what's really going on behind closed doors? Is Bieber's past still haunting him? This video shows two music sensations. One is pop icon Justin Bieber and the other is American rapper Sean John Combs, a figure from Bieber's past. Now reports say the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs has pushed Bieber in a difficult mental space. Justin Bieber's past friendship with Sean Diddy Combs has put him back in the headlines. Justin once considered Diddy a mentor and was often seen alongside him. But now, old photos and videos of the two together have resurfaced, sparking worry among Justin Bieber's fans. Fans are concerned because Diddy has been accused of sexually assaulting minors. Let's take you back 15 years.
You know, where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. For the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full crazy.
Justin Bieber was then 15 years old. In the video, Diddy is saying Bieber will be spending 48 hours with him and it's going to be all crazy. Now here's another video.
And act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
Diddy is asking the then 17-year-old Justin Bieber why he does not want to hang out with him anymore. Now cut to the present times. Diddy is currently in jail facing charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. The 55-year-old rapper is accused of sexually abusing over 120 people.
Who's the boss? Dudes is lost.
Many of the victims were reportedly minors at the time of assault. He was arrested on 16 September this year. Prosecutors allege Diddy is threatening witnesses from prison by using three-way calls and other inmates' phone access codes. Sean Diddy Combs threw wild parties that attracted Hollywood's biggest stars. But behind the glamour, there are disturbing secrets. Allegations surfaced that Diddy recorded celebrities in compromising positions at his infamous freak-off parties. Diddy allegedly used the tapes to blackmail and silence his victims. Police raided Diddy's homes in March this year. They found large quantities of drugs and unusual items, including over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricants. These were allegedly used during his freak-off parties. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all the charges and denied any wrongdoing. Earlier this month, he proposed a new $50 million bail package for his release from Brooklyn jail. Diddy faces a long wait until his trial in May next year. And if found guilty of racketeering, the stakes are high. He could spend the rest of his life in prison. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you next week with more raging issues. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Munmun Bhattacharya signing off. Take care and stay safe.